Now I'm going to speak improvisationally about Mark playing improvisationally. Because that is what we do here. We explore and we improvise. I mean, I know there's a worship script and you know there's one, but like lots of things happen that are outside of the script, just like life. And this is what we are here to make meaning out of. And UUCA is doing it all the time. On Friday, I went to the Winter Art Party, the first of our celebration evenings celebrating the arts at UUCA, and I encountered our artist in residency program that I haven't even known what they've been doing all of these past few weeks and I think months. Citizens Advocacy, a group, a social justice partner of ours, has been using the room upstairs during the week to help the people who work with them, people who are disabled or living on the margins of our community in Atlanta, to help them make art through storytelling. And so you can see some of that art now displayed on the wall, the first floor gallery of the Pilgrim Gallery. So please check that out after the service, and you can see how that's the storytelling and the art has all been improvised to help someone make meaning and deepen understanding of their own lives and to deepen a connection with that which Spirit is sort of calling us to all the time, to find new ways to connect through scent and memory, through art, through beautiful music. So for the opportunity to do that each and every Sunday and beyond Sunday, we are deeply blessed and grateful. So blessings upon this place that helps us improvise through our lives, and blessings on your gift that makes it all possible. Please join me in this morning's dedication of the offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. Amen. This is the time of year when we create a world within a world. I mean, this truly is magic in the pagan sense. When the world offers the long night, heavy shadows, gray days, we respond by stringing lights or kindling candles of hope, building fires in the fireplace, creating a little sphere of influence in our homes, establishing a circle of comfort like a halo, covering all it touches with twinkling sweetness and glowing warmth. When the world offers us political anxiety and the urgency of perpetual crisis, something we are surely feeling this week in Georgia with so many eyes upon us, and I do hope you all will vote, or you already have. But when that happens, we often find ourselves a little less tolerant this time of year. We create more quiet. We turn off the noise, or cover the talking heads with jingle bells, or Christmas carols, or Hanukkah songs of memory and merriment, drowning out the din with the sound of the heart's desire. When the atmosphere is drizzly or becomes bitingly cold, we bring out the old Christmas sweaters, like the one Kay Johnson was wearing the other night. That's right, one never knows when they're going to end up in a sermon. Kay? Today it's you. It was a gift from her mother-in-law. Or I know it's finally winter when my dad brings out one of the old moth-eaten wool sweaters his mom made for him over 40 years ago, one of the only heirlooms we have left that were evidence of her creative persistence. Or when my son begins to walk around in soft socks and fuzzy slippers, grinning at the cozy feeling of his toes encased in a fuzzy embrace, noticing how well his feet slide this way and that way on the hardwood floors when he's wearing his cozy socks. And when the air is crisp and also void of scent, with nothing blossoming nor blooming, when we are faced with the dying light and the falling leaves, We immerse ourselves in a scent of our choosing. Perhaps we put on a simmer pot on the stove, just some water with clove, cinnamon stick, orange peel, a little allspice maybe. Does anybody do that? I do it every year. Or maybe we bring some evergreen into our homes and spread its crackling, fresh scent around the house. We can activate our senses to establish a private world within the larger one, a world of comfort or calm, calling forth whatever we need to get us through. The truth is, scent can be a powerful source of healing. Literally, you can find relief from a stress response or an anxiety response in the shelter of a healing scent. I have lived this truth, and I will share it with you today. Some of you may know I had a difficult and death-defying birth experience. There was a serious possibility that either I or one of my twin children would not survive the birth. I will spare you most of the gory details of that weekend, those 48 hours really of uncertainty, but for one. While I was in the recovery room, a horrible place to be, if anyone has been there, you know what I'm talking about. But while I was in the recovery room after the birth, I experienced a very severe blood clot. A team of doctors and nurses rushed in, and the treatment for this is rather grisly, so I won't describe it, except to say that I was fully awake and alert to all of it and everything that was going on. And right before they were about to perform the procedure that would hopefully release the clot, a nurse came around behind me, put her finger in a tiny bottle of lavender oil, and swiped her finger across my collarbone. She stood behind my head and whispered one word, "Inhale," she said. And as I did so, I was enveloped by lavender. I was transported to a field I had visited once in California on a long bike tour through vineyards. Or I was suddenly somewhere else. I was in a spa cavern in Asheville, spending the day chatting with friends in the saunas. It was only an instant, just the expanse of a single inhale. But the bright hospital lights above me disappeared. The doctors and their chatter whooshed away, and I was not just anywhere, but somewhere specifically healing, somewhere specifically calming, somewhere I had once felt nurtured and loved. It was an act of love by that nurse, one to get me through that one little moment so that I could survive it and make it to the next one and the one after that. It was the scent that saved me. Now then, this nurse didn't know me. She didn't know if my sense of smell was acute enough to receive what she was offering, but her act of kindness was simply that, an offering. A small act of compassion was an enormous catalyst for healing. The truth is, that scent got me through that moment and through the next 20 hours that followed it while I was in the recovery room, hours spent without my babies, with the scent of lavender still on my skin, continually calming my anxious heart. This is one of the healing powers of scent. We can create an intentional private world within the larger world of pain or trauma. A month or so ago, I spent an evening with about a dozen UUCA members and Jonte Marcel, who is the owner of Lit Essentials, an essential oil company in Atlanta. He began the evening by asking us all each to write down an emotional intention, a state of mind we wanted to cultivate, or a larger hope for ourselves. Then Jante taught us all about oil extraction and how many pounds or sometimes tons of petals or parts of a plant must be squeezed or juiced in order to extract and harness the full power of its scent. And they do this responsibly at Lit Essentials, making sure replanting is also happening. And then we began experimenting with the different notes of the oils. We needed a base note, then a middle note, and a top note. And it is true that smelling essential oils requires depth, like any wholehearted spiritual practice. You try to sink deeper and deeper into the essence. Diane Ackerman, in her seminal book, A Natural History of the Senses, writes about how our sense of smell can be extraordinarily precise, yet impossible to describe. Smell is the sense without words. Lacking a vocabulary, we are left tongue-tied, groping for words in a sea of inarticulate pleasure and exaltation or something else. While the links between memory and scent are close to one another in the brain and swift, the physiological link between scent and language are pitifully weak. When we see something, we can describe it in gushing detail, in a cascade of images and adjectives. We have so many visual adjectives in our arsenal: bright, minuscule, rough, blue, and so on. But who can map the features of a smell? When we use terms like smoky, sulfurous, sweet, floral, we are describing smells in terms of other things, like smoke, sulfur, sugar, and flowers. Something smells, instead, we tend to describe how smells make us feel. Something smells disgusting or intoxicating, sickening, delightful, revolting. These are feelings from Ackerman. I came away from the Essential Oils workshop that evening with a scent that I had named Awake and Calm. And yes, it did include lavender. This was a mindset that I had described when I was setting my intention. Now, of course, those words do not describe scents at all. They are an emotional state of being. But whenever someone smells my signature scent that I created that day in the workshop, they ask what the scent is called, and when I tell them, they say, "Oh yes, I smell this. I suddenly feel both awake and calm." But that's the trick, isn't it? To use scent to establish a mood or to set an intention. Like the way pagans will often cast a circle, or the way lamplight casts a halo upon the ground. It's a sphere of influence. It's one where you take responsibility and power for one's own space that you inhabit and proclaim it as your own little world. When you get near to someone with a strong scent, well, then you become a part of that little world. Mysterious or cloying or simply memorable. This is also how we retain pieces of people who we have loved and people we have lost. It can be challenging to recall the details of a conversation you had years ago with somebody who passed away, but it is much easier to remember the smell of that person whenever they entered your presence. See, our brains are hardwired to keep the connection between scent and memory close together. Those departments that cover the portions of scent and memory are located extremely near to each other in the brain. So when the olfactory bulb detects something, either during eating or during an emotional encounter or a stroll through the park, it signals the cerebral cortex and sends a message directly to the limbic system. The limbic system, that intensely emotional section of our brain in which we feel and we invent. Unlike other senses, smell needs no interpreter. The effect is immediate and undiluted by language, thought, or translation. A smell can be overpoweringly nostalgic because it triggers powerful images and emotions before we even have time to edit them. What you see and what you hear may fade into the compost heap of short-term memories. But as Edwin T. Morris points out in the essay Fragrance, there is almost no short-term memory with odors. It's all long-term. So without even realizing it, like an olfactory Ouija board, we are often conjuring the dead with the scents we create or the scents we long for at the holidays. Maybe you don't spend the holidays with your mother anymore because she has died or she lives far away. But if you bake her carrot cake recipe, when your home fills with that scent, if you close your eyes, it is like she is right there with you. I suppose that's why every year at my house we make my grandmother's butter cookie recipe. She wrote it in blue pen on a note card that my mother still has in tight cursive, and it's so smudged we can hardly read it anymore, but it's not hard to remember. My grandmother never liked complicated recipes. When the cookie dough bakes, I am transported instantly back to her house at Christmas. The twinkling lights and tinkling bells and her huge bell collection. Her smile and her face right in front of me, clear as day. This is one unique way we can honor the dead. Mysteriously, we often do it without knowing it is underneath our consciousness at times, like the deeper note of a scent, without thinking about it too hard. We make those same recipes year after year, or we wear maybe our father's old robe. There are certain scents that retain relevance across time, across culture even. The smell of eucalyptus can take me back to sick days spent at home when I could finally relax and feel some prolonged comfort, time apart from my siblings or schoolwork, but not without a chest full of Vicks VapoRub, which my mom would apply and reapply throughout the day. Sometimes I think that was the only treatment. And I think that because I do the same thing at times with my own children now. Or I walk on a busy street and smell pipe smoke, and instantly I'm back at the foot of my grandfather's big armchair, waiting to open Christmas presents one by one. Most metallic smells I encounter return me to my childhood playground and those fleeting feelings of freedom and connection I found there. And of course, not all scents are happy or delicious. A certain brand of shampoo can catapult me back to a particularly traumatic relationship from my young adolescence. If we take some time to attend to the olfactory possibilities, we can be intentional about the memories we want to conjure. We can return the people we love and the memories we shared back to the present moment. This is good news for us, because when the world is too much, we can find solace and sanctuary in the scent that lifts our spirits or calms us down. And as we've been sharing poetry this morning and stories about scent and memory, I know some scents have been lurking around in your own brain. And so I want to invite you into a meditation now. If you'll just close your eyes, it won't be long. Keep your feet grounded on the floor. I invite you to close your eyes. You don't have to, but you can if it helps. Keep your feet grounded on the floor. Notice where you are holding tension in your body, maybe your shoulders. Just notice that. Squeeze your shoulders together. Release. Allow your breath to drift gently in and out. Make sure you're holding your arms and hands as comfortably as you can. Don't think too much about your breath. Just let it enter your body, flow through it, and out. Sink a little more deeply into the breath. Recall a time when you felt completely nurtured, completely comfortable, cared for, loved. Wherever you are fully at ease. You are held. Breathe in, and as you do, try to recall a specific sight from that memory. The exact color of the room or someone's shirt. Exhale. On your next breath, welcome the sound of that moment in time. Was there music playing or someone's voice? On the next breath in, try to access the scent of that moment. What did it smell like? Was there a perfume or an aftershave present? Was there a fireplace or a candle or the salty sea air? Just hold on to that scent. Breathe it in fully. Remember the feeling of being there, the softness of sand or clothing or whatever material you encountered. Breathe in again and allow the feeling of complete comfort to envelop you now. Settle in to the memory, recalling as much as you can. You are fully nurtured. You are fully at ease. You are safe. When you have taken hold of the scent of that comforting moment, keep it close to you. Try and hold on. I invite you to deepen your breath and return slowly, gently back to this moment. Feel your feet on the floor once again. Breathe in deeply and try and hold on to the scent of comfort that you have had access to, and you can have it again. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. If you have grasped hold of a scent of comfort, of nurturing, I invite you to bring it into your life as a pathway back to that feeling of utter ease, of peace. This is how we can harness the power of our sense of smell, as so many do during the season of Yule. Use it like magic to create private worlds of healing and to conjure small landscapes of peace. Blessed be. Amen.